Yeah. We've got the Minister of Mdagasi.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how corrupt do you think you were?
0.
0.
Yeah, 0.
And we're not laundering money. You know, politicians launder money by effects.
Clearly, you are trying to educate me. No. You know, a broom
Yes.
that you could buy for 12 rand
Yes.
at the
Macro,
and,
yeah.
we're buying that for about 550 rand.
And you're using that broom to sweep the corruption under the carpet.
Okay,
No, we know all of that.
No.
We want to find out where we are now. Where are we?
Yes, to know where you are, we must know where we come. The scale of
you guys have done so many interviews saying the same thing.
Let me tell you what. The demand is 34,000 megawatts. I have excess. Yes, load shedding. No, I see. No, there's no load shedding.
Load shedding!
And you didn't deliver. There's no load shedding.
Kgosi, so indeed. You have brought your camera to yourself.
When are you staged?
Why is that one on?
You staged it. Yeah. You have not paid for your services. They've disconnected you.
Yeah, you put it back up. Let there be lights. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We got a special guest in the building.
Very special.
Yes. In Venda, we call electricity Mdagasi. Yeah. We've got the Minister of Mdagasi. Please welcome Dr. David Sputla Kgosi Ramakgopa.
Yeah.
Yes, he's the current Minister of Electricity, civil engineer by profession, and an all-round academic. His history in politics dates back to his student days as he was a member of the ANC Youth League. Welcome, sir. Thank you so much for your time, man.
Thank you very
welcome,
much,
man.
and thanks for hosting me.
Were you part of the struggle?
Yeah, of course. There are multiple generations of the struggle. I grew up in a family that is politically conscious. I think
Royal family,
my
part of the Royal
brother
family.
went to exile, and my house in Atteridgeville, our house in Atteridgeville, where I grew up, was a meeting point, a place of activists in the area. So I always make the point that I was born into this political conscious family and socialized in that environment. And naturally, when I went to varsity at a very young age, I got there as I was just turning 16. I immersed myself into politics further. Of course, now SASCO and the Youth League, and the rest is history.
Oh, that's beautiful, man. I see you wearing a Tsepo. This is Tsepo jeans, right?
Tsepo,
Proudly
Tsepo,
local.
Tsepo.
That's beautiful.
Proudly
No more Michael Kors.
Proudly local. I've always been supporting Tsepo for it's a few years now.
Yeah.
Yes. And of course, I make choices. Tsepo. This is quality. So I didn't go supporting because it's just local. First is quality, the things I like, and then it just happened to be young, black, and South African. And that's why I'm
This is also
supporting.
quality. Do you want to support
quality,
this?
Yeah,
you wanna
and
support that.
I'll support that as long as it tastes nice.
Yeah, have a taste.
It
have a
does.
taste.
It's amazing.
No, but
Sweet.
I drink alcohol.
You're going to enjoy it.
It's just, it's just for the show.
No, that's fine. But if you allow me to take it home, I know my wife will taste. She'll give me an opinion. Her opinion matters. She'll let me know. Yeah.
No problem.
Sure, yes.
I wanted to ask you, man, since you're a minister, I heard there's rumor going around that there's ministers doing like operations and procedures like liposuction, what to get six packs and whatnot. Because you look good for a minister, you know?
I'm a prolific footballer, by the way. I think the name Sputla derives from my football days, of course. Like I said, I had to choose when I went to varsity because of civil engineering is very hectic.
Yeah.
You start in the morning, first lessons about 8:30, and then you do experiments.
Okay.
You are in the lab much later, so I had to abandon football. But I still play, six-a-side, and all of that. Wow. I still play.
What team do you support locally?
No, I really follow the type of football So I've moved between teams. Now I'm sitting with Mamelodi Sundowns is my team. The style of carpet football and they just habituated winning. Winning should be part of habit, and Sundowns.
But you can't switch teams as a soccer person.
Come on, you
No.
You're flip-flopping.
I'm not flip-flopping. The choice of it's a
Glory chaser.
No. Let me tell you now, I'm still with Barcelona. It's not doing very well.
Yeah.
So locally, who did you dump before Sundowns?
I was a staunch Chiefs supporter.
Dagas.
I used to have a Chiefs blanket. I ate from a Chiefs
Plate.
They had all the history of the Chiefs. It traumatized me. But that was during and then it traumatized me. I know you about when you go around. Yeah. And then Sundowns came, and then I went to Pirates briefly. I remember it was a boxing final. Pirates lost. I went there supporting Chiefs. Pirates lost. And they were playing the most brilliant football. Wow. And then I switched. We came back and then went back to I don't want to make false claims. But yes, I mean I'll be lying. People know, but Sputla went up. No na Chiefs. Wavaya warngala wa go Pirate. Put about to need so go
and now Sunday.
I know I could see that's quite different. It's a different level. So stratosphere. I think there are two divisions categories. So it's Sundowns and Africa and then the rest.
Yeah.
I think that's
so do you know any ministers that are doing surgery?
I don't know of any
for real.
Not like for real.
Yeah.
But even if I knew, I wouldn't state that in public. But no, I genuinely don't.
But have you noticed any who went from Mkawa to six-pack?
Well, the assumption is that it's diet, quality, way of life, and all of that. So it's not for me to determine. So, just in general. But no, I'm not.
Have you had any work done?
No, my brother.
Would you do any work?
No.
Nothing.
No, I wouldn't. My wife likes me this way.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
No, lovely, man.
Yeah.
So listen, I want to talk about your tenure as the mayor of Tshwane. You were there from 2010 to
2016.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how corrupt do you think you were?
0.
0.
Yeah, 0. One of these things on corruption perhaps is a different conversation. On service delivery, don't believe me. Don't believe anything I say. Just go and do an independent poll. Ordinary people, go to a suburb, go into informal settlement, go to a township and say, when the Sputla administration was ANC government led by Comrade Sputla, so I'm just doing that period, and what you are experiencing now. What are your feelings and how would you rate it? Don't believe me. But of course, and then there are others that are objective accounts on performance. Go and read the report done by the Gauteng City Region Observatory. It's an institution that is attached to University of Witwatersrand that does an independent evaluation of service delivery, especially in the province.
Yeah.
We're rated number 1. Go and read the AG Auditor General's report, and you'll see the state of finances, levels of collection, if there was any qualified audits or not. So don't believe me. So I'm just saying there's a rich body of information, objectively, scientifically researched, but also the lived experiences of people.
There were a lot of allegations, though, that came up during your tenure, which I want to address now because you are here, right?
Yes.
First one being, the following incidents happened while you were the mayor of Tshwane. Nicki Minaj payment for Dino King Festival.
Yes.
A planned music festival in 2012 headlined by Nicki Minaj that never took place. Reports allege that millions of rands were spent on the festival despite Nicki Minaj ever performing.
No, I'm glad that you qualify that and say allegations. So let me just share with you what goes into running a city. So there are multiple sources of revenue. And one of the things that you want to do is the diversification of your revenue stream so that there's no concentration. And because if there's concentration, you are exposed to risk. So if there's an area where you are under collecting, it's got significant impact on the revenue of the municipality. So one of the things that we wanted to do was that if you would come to think of a capital city And in this instance, Tshwane,
Yes.
just the seat of the executive, union buildings, ministers, the High Court, and it ends there. So there's no real diversification of the economy. So we thought that the issues of culture, entertainment, hospitality could be a significant draw card into the city. So that's one. But we also don't want to locate it into a space where the economy is and the communities is already thriving. Remember at the point that 2011 we incorporated an area called Bronkhorstspruit, the far eastern part of the country. And there's no economic activity to today. Of course, there used to be an industrial park that collapsed many years ago. So that was the main economic attraction and employer. So what we wanted to do was that first imagine a solution that can bring about the hospitality, because we know it's a employment absorption capacity and the like, but also it must be a shared facility. What do I mean by that? So you don't use it once off and then you wait for the next year and it gets to be used. So essentially you are providing a facilities, an entertainment facility, recreation facility. Then we invested money into that. So if you go at the time, you will see nicely manicured, a place of meeting, and what we're envisaging was that you're also going to put accommodation facilities, but not by the city. All we do, we provide what we call basic services, bulk infrastructure, roads, sanitation, water, and the like. That's where we threw the money. And then much later we thought, but one of the ways of making sure that this is an attraction, you can have a major music festival. There's something called Glastonbury.
Yeah, Glastonbury, yes.
It was modeled along that.
Okay.
And then we then went with one of the major recording companies. I forgot. I think
it was Sony.
Sony.
Because I know Sean Watson was.
Yes.
Is his friend who was organizing that thing.
And then they constructed an idea to say that let's have this day Dinokeng Festival.
Yeah.
And the major draw card was going to be Nicki Minaj. And
So
then
did she get paid though?
No.
She didn't get paid?
No. We invested, the money was sunk into the infrastructure that then could be used by communities. Of course, there was a contractual agreement to say once she comes, the festival takes off, and then she appears, there's going to be...
But usually with those high-profile artists, you have to pay deposit. They're not just going to leave America without getting any money.
Oh, yes. So what we did was through Sony as a facilitator and interlocutor, it sat with them. And of course, the artist didn't come. So it means that the money reverts back to us. And I think that in hindsight, I think we could have explained what we wanted to do much, much better. Remember that when we have this conversation, there's a juxtaposition of basic service delivery, bringing high-profile figure from United States, you are wasting money without an appreciation of what is it that we are trying to do. And I think in hindsight, we should have communicated the message better. But the infrastructure...
It's still there. Is it still there?
Well, I'm not sure if it's still looked after, but the money was sunk into the infrastructure. And the community could continue to use it.
Why didn't the event happen? I forgot. Why didn't it happen so?
No. I mean, it was just a backlash. I mean, just people say you're wasting money on international. And then we decided, look, we don't think that this is good for the brand that is the city. So let's just discontinue this year. Wow. And then, so that was a backlash. I mean, sometimes you mustn't be tone deaf. I think it's important that even though you have a foresight of what the future looks like, you want to diversify the revenue streams. But if you are unable to sell, if you like, the business case, the commercial case, what you are trying to do, and you must just accept that the communities also have views. And I guess that, like I said, in hindsight, one of the things that you could do when you make such a major event decision, it's a major disruptor. You must be canvas, if you like, local opinion, so that there's a multiplicity of view, there's convergence that, this is right, or no, let's prioritize on this. So you accept that it's something that didn't find favor. But what we know is that there's not been diversification of the revenue streams. The the economic health of the municipality has deteriorated. So it's important that in running a city, you have an appreciation of the need to continue to think ahead, innovate, introduce things anew. And I do accept some of them will fail, some of them are likely going to succeed. But it's a calculated risk that you take. I mean, you weigh the pros and cons. Clearly, in this instance, the management of that project from a communication point of view, stakeholder engagement, left a lot to be desired and decided, okay, let's cut down.
That's strange, man. Why would people not want to see Nicki Minaj? That's very weird. Eh?
Well, apart from Nicki Minaj, just permanent infrastructure that will then benefit, the local communities, and there'll be employment as well from those
accommodation.
So that's very strange. Yeah, why they'd oppose that project. Yeah. But in that project, how much then had the city invested?
We're going to invest 35 million. In the basic infrastructure. And then, of course, I forgot what the figure was.
But it's in the tens of millions.
Yeah, I think about 10, 12 million that we're going to spend. No, 35 I know was just on the infrastructure.
Like I said, spent.
Yes, because we had to sync the infrastructure. I mean, people must come, there must be ablution, you must make sure that the facility is secured, there must be roads that leads to that.
And we're not laundering money. You know, politicians launder money by events.
Clearly, you are trying to educate me. No. The AG would have we accounted for every cent. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. The PEU tender.
Yeah.
The agreement between the city of Tshwane and PEU Capital Partners was allegedly ruled illegal and unconstitutional by the courts. The city reportedly had to recoup 950 million from a trust account that was supposed to be to go to PEU. However, before the court ruling, a separate 2 billion rand maintenance contract was signed with PEU. The city was paying 630 million per year on that contract.
Okay, so let's lay the facts to bear. Just to take you into what it takes to run a city, a metro, separated from Ramakgopa, and I'm not demeaning my place. So there's a distinction between how a metro finances its operation and how a rural local municipality does that. The rural and local municipality, they are what we call grant dependent. So what happens is that all of the expenditures, about 95% of the expenditures, is a drawdown from National Treasury. Okay. So we pay taxes, we give to SARS, then give to National Treasury, and then there's a calculation that we use the formula to allocate money. So in your rural municipality, when they say we're building a road and that, all of that money is taxes that you and I would have paid. Okay. In a metro is something else.
So which one does this fall under? Metro?
Metro, no, it's Tshwane. Yeah, Tshwane is a metro. Okay. So you saw yesterday the mayor of Cape Town unveiled the budget. Municipalities, Ekurhuleni, Joburg, and into tens of billions of rand. So when they say that my budget is 60 billion rand, that money is not with them. That money is with you. We're still going to collect it sometime in the future. There are three sources of revenue for metros. Metros should collect about all of the budget that they make public. About 95% is the money that they're expecting to collect. Okay. Unlike in that rural municipality, like I told you, already it's there. We have paid our taxes. So it's certain, it's coming, it's there. This one you must still collect.
Got you.
Three sources of revenue. The first one is your rates and taxes. So if you like, is the land where your house is built, and it's a function of where it's built. If you are in Waterkloof, because of the value of the space, the area, it's higher, different than when you are in Atteridgeville, as an example.
100%.
So that's the first one. So that one, it's fixed. I know how much I'm likely going to get. Yeah. I don't have it, but I must still bill you, and then you must pay.
Yeah.
The second one comes from utilities. So utilities is water and electricity.
Got you.
That is a function of how much you use.
That's
right. And then the third one will be grants, like the rural municipality. But like I said, it's like 1%. It's really insignificant. So there are two major sources of these ones. Then the one that I am likely going to be able to control, because it's a function of usage, it's not fixed, is your utilities, is water and electricity. Yeah. So what we knew was happening, you could see the trend line. the more people become poorer or find difficult to meet their monthly obligation, the more likely their inability to service their municipal accounts.
Okay.
And
now
then-
you're not getting that money.
That money, yeah. And then the second one, what we knew was that there are multiple competing needs now. So you find that in a more affluent, across, not just affluent area. So the order of payment, so when your salary comes, so you
Yes.
pay for your bond, and then you pay for, no. We previously, if you, our parents, maybe your grandparents, because of the age difference, they will pay for Baropatela Maspal.
Okay.
And then they buy groceries. So Maspala, the municipality is there. I must pay. Just respect for authority. But what we know is that the priorities changes now. I'm going to pay for my bond.
Of course.
I'm going to pay for my car. I'm going to pay for school fees. I'm going to pay data. Whatever is left, if they are lucky, I'll pay for my electricity and water. And I've announced a budget of 35 billion at the time. Now I'm sure it's 50, 60 billion rand. And then I battled to collect. So that commitment to say I'm going to build a clinic, I'm going to build a road, I'm going to connect houses, electricity. I can't meet it because that money is not there. Then you get discredited in communities. No, when I'm mayor, I'll set the following. But the same people are not paying. So we could anticipate at the time that let's do this thing called a prepayment.
Okay.
Like you do with your phone. So you pay in advance, like a prepay payment. So you install what we call smart meters.
Okay.
So with the smart meters, what we do is that before you consume water and electricity, but at the time it was designed for electricity. I think the maturity of the technology was such that we couldn't do water at the time, but now it has evolved, we can do water. Before MacG consume electricity, you must load the units. And then there's advantage to me. What is that advantage?
You have the
I
money.
get the money upfront and I also earn interest. And I've de-risked the possibility of you not paying. And then as I promise those communities, I get the money upfront, I earn interest. It means that the revenue capacity really increases. That's the one. And then I use it as a credit control. What do I mean? Because it's a smart meter, I can remotely disconnect you. Because you have not paid for other services,
Yes,
or limit access to this. Because this I use for electricity, but you choose not to pay for water. You choose not to pay for your rates and taxes. You just buy electricity because it's prepaid. Then I'll disconnect you. So if you have not paid for water, if you are not paying for your rates and taxes, I block you from buying electricity. So in that way, it's a credit control. The third one, and at the time we didn't know the problem is coming, was that you can do load management. By load management, I mean the following. There's a lot of people here, I mean yourself, if you have a pool at home, when you left in the morning, I'm sure you forgot to switch off the pool pump. Huh?
Oh, no,
And
I
then
don't
that's
have a pool, eh?
as an example, if you had a pool. So that's the biggest consumer of electricity. The second biggest consumer of electricity is a geyser. Because this is a smart meter and connected to your phone. You could be here at work. Remember, I have not switched off my geyser. You can switch it off using your phone. And then it was going to play a different function today to help us. For an example, if Eskom will say, Tshwane, give us so many megawatts because we are load shedding. What Tshwane does, instead of isolating an area, 2 hours here, 2 hours there, they simply disconnect all the houses that have geysers and pool pumps. They deny them access to electricity, geysers and pool pumps. But your fridge is working, your TV is working, your lights are working. So you really don't see load shedding, if you know what I'm saying. And that's what other municipalities are doing.
But what does this have to do with the PEU?
It's what that contract was meant to do. They were going to roll out prepaid meters across the municipality. And then we're taken to court. Said that, no, but this was not a transparent and competitive tender process. So someone comes to us and say, this is what I want to do for this. All the things that I've mentioned, this smart meter will do the following. Say, hey, we're attracted to this. This is going to help us. And then we started contracting. Then they take us to court, says, no, but they've given everyone an opportunity. And we say that this is a unique selling proposition. This is a unique idea. Remember,
But was the money issued though?
No, I'm going to come how it works, yeah. And then we said, no, but we couldn't go to I didn't know of this idea. MacG approached me and said, no, this is what I can do for you. So I really don't know how to do the specs. Went to court, and then the rest is, you are correct to say. Court says, no, Ramakgopa, how you procured it is wrong. You should have gone out on a tender process, allowed others. And we said, but we didn't know how to put the spec. And then we were found to be unconstitutional, and the contract was
You're telling me you didn't know how to conduct a tender?
No, I must know the specifications. I must know what I'm asking. It's your unique proposal. It's your patent. Huh? So how am I going to provide for, if you like, what are the minimum requirements in doing that?
No, but I'm saying before you engage in a project as big as that, you didn't know all of that.
No, I know all of that. This is what we call an unsolicited tender. So we didn't go out, so it's provided for in law. But in this instance, the court says, no, because of the magnitude and others, you should have gone that route. So we accepted. But and then this is how it works. So we created an escrow account. An escrow account, it means that the parties that are part of the contract have got access to that contract. So all the money gets to be put in the escrow account. No one has got access to that without the other part. So we put that money into the escrow account. When this thing was cancelled, so the money goes back to the municipality. That's the point I'm making. So the money went back to the municipality. All of us have got sight of what this is also. And I really appreciate this because on very few occasions, I get the opportunity to explain what happened. So you can go and ask.
Are you following, Saul, what he's saying?
I'm following. Yeah. So the project, so this never materialized?
Never materialized.
So how come you didn't go back and just make a tender, an open tender?
Oh, then that time we were out of office.
Oh.
So, yeah. And let me tell you now, go and look at the finances of Tshwane. The collection rates have come down. So if we had that instrument, you'll not be sitting where we are. All municipalities are going that route. And in fact, I was told that they also go that route. So what's the point I'm making? The contract was found not to have been transparent. Cancel it, like we canceled before we left, by the way. It was cancelled by us. I think what they should have done even much earlier is to take that template and correct the mistakes that we have done. Go out in a public tender.
And continue.
They would have procured, because of the size of the contract, I'm sure it would have taken you 18 months. By 2018, you would have gotten roll out the prepaid, and now you've got an instrument to do two things. Make sure that the people of Tshwane don't experience load shedding, and then the second one is that you protect your revenue streams. And all of those are lost, and that's where you are at now. Many municipalities, metros, are going the smart route. Eskom had gone about 2 years ago. They've done a pilot in one of the suburbs here in 4 ways. They've done the suburb, a pilot project where that area suburb, when there's load shedding, they are not completely load shed. They disconnect the geysers and the pool pump, and everything works. It has worked, and then they're rolling it out to across the country. That's what Eskom is doing. But it's an idea that we introduced 2030.
By the way, these guys stay in Pretoria. They never get load shedding. Why is that?
So there are places that are connected to national key points. So there might be a Sandaf military base, for an example. So you can't afford that installation to be load shed, because it performs a major it's a strategic asset that performs, if you like, a security function to look after the country. And if you share the same distribution, so you share the same substation where that national key point draws its electricity, if your house is connected to there, because that is protected, we are not load shedding it, then you will not be load
Comrade, we need that privilege here. We are saving the country one podcast at a time.
We are a national key point.
You are a national key point.
We need to be declared. We need to be declared as a national key point.
You yes,
okay, I get it. I get it.
Sure.
Okay, all right. Next one is Mayoral residence renovations. A 12 million rand renovation tender was awarded for the Mayoral residence, which was reportedly valued at only 5 million rands. This raised questions about the inflated costs.
Well, I'm not familiar with the inflated costs. So let me again explain how you run a city, because some of these things get lost in that.
Yeah.
So what happens is that in all major cities across the world, So you have a mayoral residence. So this is a place where you host dignitaries coming from outside instead of going to a hotel, renting some space in a restaurant. You host them and you are in control of that space. So when I came in, like any other major city, there was a mayoral residence. Of course, I made it a personal choice that I will not stay in a public state-funded accommodation.
What do you mean mayoral residence? What is
It's
that?
a house.
The mayor's
That's
house.
for the mayor's house.
Oh, so it's
for
not like an estate.
Oh no! It's a house. Like it's a house.
Normal
It's a
house.
normal house.
Okay.
Or it looks stately, but
Yeah.
in this instance, in Waterloo. So for the duration of the term, you move into that house. So it's essentially your house.
Okay,
Like
gotcha.
now, as a minister, I'm entitled to move into a house
Gotcha.
that is looked after by the state. But I'm from Pretoria. I stay here. I have a house.
Yeah.
So I really don't need the house.
So no one's staying in
even-
that house now.
Which one?
Ministerial home.
No. I don't know. Maybe they allocated it to someone, but I chose to. I'm staying at.
okay.
my
Oh, they can
own
allocate it to someone else.
I'm staying in my private residence. The same happened here. I never spent a single night there, but because I have a personal choice, it mustn't blur the fact that a city requires a mayoral house. If you know what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
So I can't discontinue because I don't have. I can't say now because I don't think I should stay in a state-sponsored facility that discontinued. No, it happens across the world. And then there was a renovation. I really don't think it came to that. They renovated the mayoral house to whatever standard. And yes, that continues to be an asset of the city.
But who's approving that renovation?
Oh, the procurement process happened at the different level, even below the municipal manager, because of the size of the tent. But I want to contest that it came to about 12 million when.
Well, why are they renovating it if no one is living in it?
Oh, you need to ensure that there's continuous upkeep of the asset.
12 million rands worth of upkeep.
It deteriorates. Well, it depends. First, it depends on the size of the house, and secondly, on what they wanted to use. I mean, it could be a complete refurbishment. For all that I know, but the point I'm making is that it's an asset.
But you do agree, it sounds like a waste of money. If no one is living in the house, why are we spending so much money to upkeep it and renovate it? 12 million.
Because by the time someone lives in it,
the starting point is at the level of principle. Do you agree that in a major city there has to be an asset, a facility that is dedicated?
100%.
Yeah.
That's 100%.
Yes.
So that's the first part.
Yes.
And then there has to be the upkeep of that facility. So that it comes to 12 million. Yes, I mean even if it's 5 million, I think it's a lot of money. But the point I'm making is that the decision on what is required in that facility doesn't reside with the mayor, members of the mayoral, and in fact, even the city manager doesn't come to that space. So the people who are responsible for the management of the state-owned facilities at the subnational level, at the municipality in this instance, they are the ones who make that determination within what is the parameters.
I think we're in agreement with that.
Yeah.
You've got kids, right? Do you have kids?
One, yeah.
You've got one,
Yes.
boy or girl?
A boy.
A boy. Imagine your boy comes and says, hey, listen, I want to rent a flat in Midrand somewhere. And that flat, usually would go for about 100,000, 500,000, whatever. But he wants 10 million. Are you not going to question the amount?
Oh, this is the other point, how it works. You know, a big city, the amount of expenditure and improvement that happens at a level of, it's huge, runs into tens of billions.
For real?
Then, yes, tens of billions. Like I said, I mean, if you announce now, metros, their budgets, I think 60 billion above. No, the only time there is not even a report that comes to the mayoral committee to say that to build that road, I need X amount of money. What would have done at the beginning of the financial year would have dedicated that there's so much you are going to build for budget for roads, and then we have prioritized the following. And then it's a procurement process that happens somewhere. The only time that it will come to my attention like this one is when the media makes inquiries. You stay in a house, you spend 12 million, and then that's when you start to dig for information. Let me give you a typical example. I got to learn that when I was a mayor, a broom
Yes.
that you could buy for 12 rand
Yes.
at the
Macro, whatever. Yeah.
We're buying that for about 550 rand.
And using that broom to sweep the corruption under the carpet.
Okay, now told me. Now told me the time.
It's actually corruption, man.
But what is the point?
crazy,
What is the
man.
point I'm making?
We need the broom.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what
we
is
need
the
the broom.
What is the point I'm making? The only time I'll know is when I get to be accosted. Yeah, but this is how much you spend.
That's crazy.
Then I go and find out, and we establish that to be true.
I'd
And
like
of
to
course,
ask.
action has to be taken. Yeah.
I want just to find out. Okay,
Wait,
you know the house. You
Yeah.
know the house.
Yeah.
Is it deserving of 12 million rent as an upgrade?
Well, the assumption you are making is that they've spent 12 million. So that's the first part.
Yes.
And that's the part I say I just don't know how much they've spent. So that's the first part. The second part is the assumption is that I know of the amount of work that they had to do. So if you had to replace all the piping, the lighting, and all that, that's the piping for water, for sanitation, ablution, and the like. I mean, that's not in your face, that it costs so much. I wouldn't know that. What is the point I'm making? Is that there's a delineation of responsibility. And this is the point when I answer this question. If tomorrow you say, yeah, when I'm mayor, you told people not to spend 3 rands there, but to spend 10 rands there. What power do you have to instruct officials to do that? And I don't have the power to do that.
That's
Because there's a
crazy.
separation of
That's
responsibility.
insane.
Yeah.
Yes. And
So
then
what power do you have?
It's an executive authority. We determine that this is where we are going to spend the budget. This for roads, this for water, this for housing.
And you have no
then
influence.
the procurement, no.
That's
That's
crazy.
that's a lot of things that people don't know.
So you can't even question, like, guys.
No,
got
I
a
can
broom.
question when it comes to my attention. Yes, they run the process there. I'm not the accounting officer. I'm
Gotcha.
the executive authority. And that's why there's a separation of the political responsibility and the administrative responsibility. Let me give you an example. I did an interview just the other day. They say in some power station at Eskom, they paid so much for fuel oil, when in fact the real price is X. And in fact, they added a premium of about 500%. I wouldn't know. So there's first is that in fact, yes, a bit more complicated because there's a board. Even the chair of the board will not know. The CEO might know depending on the threshold. So, just to give you a sense, the size of Eskom, I'm sure that delegations that people can make, procure, can go up to 100 million without telling the CEO. Because it's a function of what is your overall spend.
Yeah,
so the
true.
CEO
That's
might know
nothing.
much later, yes, in the context
It's a
of that.
small amount.
Yes.
You can't need the CEO's approval
Exactly.
for
Otherwise,
things
then
that
we
are
delay.
tantamount to petty cash.
That's right.
But you were saying you wanted to ask
Yeah, so there's the scenario where they were paying 500 for a broom as opposed to 3 rands, and you found out. Was there any accountability that followed afterwards? Did heads roll?
Oh, yes. It's also how I found out. So I didn't find out. I was told it was a media inquiry. Like now you come to me, you spend, and then I go back. City manager, let's go back. And you find that to be the case. DC, and as I speak to you, I think those people were fired. So that's the nature of the space. But I accept that ultimately, political responsibility sits with me. You elected us.
Yeah, true.
So you're not interested in the stories. And that's the problem, the difficulty of the space. But once I enter the space, now I'm breaking the law. So that's the
So what
difficulty.
power do you actually have, apart from the blue lights?
Oh, no. Of determining what the priority is. That's a big power. To determine whether we're building a road or I'm building a clinic. To determine whether that asset is built in Waterkloof or is built in Atteridgeville. That's big power. I don't want to understate it.
So would you say that people under you are the ones that are misusing maybe your perceived power? But obviously, like you say, the public looks upon to you for answers.
Yes,
So
and
there's an element
you find
of that.
that is the situation across. I mean, if you remember, during the PPE saga, a lot of the MECs were accused, but I don't know. And I know it's very difficult for you to believe me. In some, I just don't know. It happens at that level. And I think, and that's one of the things we're arguing to say that there has to be some degree of transparency. So we have to at least periodically be informed. Remember that road? We said we were going to build a road. Yes, we built it for 40 kilometers, and per kilometer we spent 3 million or 12 million. Then you have a basis to ask that question. But when you run a city this big,
It's crazy.
Yes, that's the other problem. Yes.
All right, let's talk about the Tshwane Wi-Fi scandal. It appears there were irregularities surrounding the city Wi-Fi rollout. You were head of the Investment and Infrastructure Office in the Office of the President. You signed contra-vetila deal with Baldwin for the Moy Floof development. I don't know if I'm getting those names
Okay, no,
correct.
the two are unrelated. So the Tshwane Wi-Fi is for the first time that I hear that there was a scandal. No, so essentially we are the first municipality in the country to declare that the access to internet should be a basic municipal function. The manner in which you treat water and electricity. And then luckily we had someone who came and said they roll it out for free. We never paid a cent.
Wow.
Not a single cent. I'm repeating. All the schools in the township, all the schools with no exception, had free Wi-Fi. But it also made it, and all the public parks. I mean, when we're in office, you'll go there after school, couple 3, 4, 5, or
You
weekend.
find the kids.
You find kids and communities just surrounding the school. Free Wi-Fi.
For the Wi-Fi.
And then when we took us out of power, they found it very difficult. Says no, they had to be corrupt. They discontinued it. There was no single cent. The community stood up, a groundswell of grievance from communities. Even because the chap who came to work with us, assist us, his name was discredited, also said that I'm not coming back. And what is the result? There's no free Wi-Fi in Tshwane. Go and ask them. Not a single cent.
What did the chap want in return? I mean,
Oh,
we're in
okay.
Africa.
No.
That's
No. Rollout is for free, and then you can the amount of usage then goes up, and then he uses the platform advertisement. That's his benefit.
Okay,
but the infrastructure in that, no, it's for free. It's rolling out, and then on his side, he's able to show advertisers that look at this platform. Per day, there's 500,000 people who are using it.
Yes,
It's
and then
value.
advertise,
You know better than I
100%,
do.
yeah.
Yes, that's what it is, and then that's fine.
So there is a world where we can see like free Wi-Fi in all the hoods.
No, unrestricted. Free Wi-Fi. Don't believe what I'm telling you. Go and ask the people in the township. Yeah, they call it Sputla Wi-Fi. Really do, sorry.
Why is this Sputla Wi-Fi?
Unless I try to
Let's not make sure.
No, you know it. Wow. We're using it to upload the show.
That's when shows were late. Remember when shows were late?
And then
It's too weak.
But I really feel strongly about that, man.
No,
the Wi-Fi thing.
free.
Man.
Should be
It's access to education.
Yes. And I make the point that think of a child in Hammanskraal. I used to make this point. So you just finished your matriculated, you don't have the funds to go to university, and then there's a job opportunity. They cannot afford to buy a newspaper because you must make a choice. Do I spend 12 rand buying a newspaper or buying bread, whatever the choices are? They are stuck. It's obvious what the family will do. And then there's hospitality opportunities, jobs there.
Boom.
So you simply go on site.
Done.
Okay, you get, and then you upload your CV, you send. You don't have to go and print. It's money. Move from Hammanskraal to town. You know how much it is. I'm sure now the return must be 50 rands. The money is not. It's life changing.
It's life
for
changing,
a young
bro.
child who's at university again in Hammanskraal, has to leave UP by 5 others. Public transport is
a problem.
Is a problem. Gets home, doesn't have the same privilege as the ones on res, but has got free Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And is able to
Now
Google
Wi-Fi is
and do-
life-changing.
It's powerful. It's like you know it better than I do. I mean, you are in this space.
We wouldn't be here if it wasn't
Yes,
for
yes.
digital
And then
platform.
let me answer the one on Moitloof. So Moitloof, it's one of the biggest developers in the country. Baldwin wants to build 50,000 units there in far Pretoria East.
Oh, you were part of that?
Of what?
The Baldwin Properties thing there.
No, I was the head of investment in infra. Now I'm out as a mayor.
Oh, okay.
I'm the head of investment in infrastructure.
okay.
So this chap, it's his money, his land he bought. He's sinking his own money. Then he comes to the office and say, look, I'm building this. These are the jobs numbers. from service providers to builders, and also providing housing opportunity. The problem I have, Tshwane has approved that I can build, but there are what we call condition precedent. There are things you must do before you build. The road must be expanded because we are bringing. Once the development is completed, you are building 50,000 units. Let's say average size of a household is 200,000 people. You are going to generate trips because people are working there. So the road here, Garsfontein, is not enough. So before you build, this road must be expanded. But the responsibility of expanding that road is with the city. The city says to him, look, we don't have money. So he comes to us and say, how best can you help so that I do it's a 34 billion rands development. It's not a tender. This is the point. It's his money. All he wanted to do, the city and government, you have an obligation to, we call it bulk infrastructure, roads. Can you please expand this?
And you don't get a kickback from that.
Oh, no, you don't get a kickback. How are you going to get the kickback? Because all you are doing is a facilitation of a treasury or Tshwane to make available to build the road. That's all. Build the road so that the development can happen. So there's no tender. It's just 34 billion. Nothing comes from the past.
How are those estates built, man? You know those like posh estates. Do you acquire the land and then build?
They acquire the land.
Yes.
And then
that's a lot of money, man.
And then they service the internal part, the outside, the public facilities. So the roads that is going to be used by everyone is the city that must expand it. There must be enough capacity for electricity. Eskom comes in the city to build a substation, and then they sell the land. That's how it works.
Is it true there's one family that owns the land from Woodmead all the way until...
Yeah, the Mayor family. Yes.
Is that the Indian family?
Yes.
They own until where?
No, I don't know until as far as the eye can see.
Mid-rand.
Yeah, but it's huge.
It's
where you have
big chunk of
waterfall.
mid-rand.
Yeah, because waterfall you lease there. You don't own the house.
So the asset still remains with them.
That's insane.
It's an ingenious way of designing how you can do development going into the future without losing or relinquishing ownership of the land. That's huge asset. It's still sitting with you. Can build your mansion up, but the land belongs to me. And that's what it is. Yeah. And we are increasingly seeing more and more of those going into the
What do you think about estates like Waterfall? Because so many people are complaining they're paying an arm and a leg just for safety, which the city cannot provide.
Well, the Waterfall estate, you choose to stay there. If you know what I'm saying. No, I'm just saying. No, I'm not. No, let me explain what I mean.
Yeah.
When you have for the poor that we build them RDP, you just don't have a choice.
Yes.
The state says, I'm building here.
For sure.
You are next in line.
Yeah.
But if someone who's affluent, you can choose to stay where you want to stay. But the bigger point you are raising, which I agree to, is the absence of social amenities. For an example, if you look at that complex or that estate at the city as they refer to, I'm told that there's either no public schools or lack of public schools, if you like. So the social amenities are absent. Yeah. So our view is that when the state invests, like in that example of Baldwin, one of the conditions we're placing inside is that, okay, the state will do its part, expand the road, because of the traffic that is generated by the development. But part of your obligation, make sure that there's a public school that is affordable. Yeah, hospital, and there must be sporting grounds, those amenities that everyone can. So that's the if you like, the strength, the power that the state have to prescribe what are the additional facilities that must be in that development. Otherwise, it will be designed just for high-end and excluding, if you like, the poor or the less affluent. So I think it's important that the state must exercise that responsibility.
What's going on in the Lanseria side? Is that part of Tshwane still?
Yeah, the Lanseria Smart City is a combination of, on the northeastern part is Tshwane, on the on the northwest eastern part is Tshwane, then there's Madibeng in the northwest, Mogale in the south, and then Johannesburg. It's a confluence of that. Coincidentally, we were discussing it yesterday in one of the discussions with the ministers. So you'll see that we're doing impetus to build that.
It's going to be crazy, no?
Oh yes. Because
there's no more land anywhere else.
Exactly, that's true. And then the nice thing about Gauteng, because it's a small geography, the footprint is small, and the roads are built. If you come to think of it, it doesn't matter where you situate. You are likely going to get to most parts of the province because you travel less distances, and the roads are relatively well developed. Of course, the quality of using those roads from a traffic point of view deteriorates because the more cars you have, the slower that you are going to drive, the kind of traffic you are going to experience.
And I'm so glad you brought that up. I must show you something that I saw earlier on today on my WhatsApp, right? This guy was showing a video of driving around Joburg in the 1980s, and it looks like a first world country, man. It's clean. There's no dirt. Look at this. Look at this. Look how clean that is.
Oh, yes, I've seen that.
You've seen this, eh?
Yes.
Try do that now, my man.
Oh, yeah.
There's Nyaupe boys.
But you get stopped as a black man for driving a car. Like, why are you driving here?
Yeah.
What are you doing here? As a black guy, you can't enjoy that at 8 p.m.
Oh, you mean
these
back
times.
during these times?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you're also excluded from these spaces.
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah, you have to
That's
go
what was for
Yeah.
dedicated for white people.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I'm saying if they could keep it this clean, why can't we?
Yes.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. Well, I guess that the local state must do everything. When I say the local state, I really mean municipalities must do everything possible to preserve your inner cities, your traditional inner cities. So you go to Tshwane, almost all of them are in a state of decay. So what you find out is that there's a flight of money. So the people who used to stay there with the money, they're now going to the estates, protected areas, if you like, that are not inclusive.
Yes.
Fear of crime and all other social ills. And then the inner cities, they decay, so they are being decanted. So people move out, and that's why you have a new phenomena of hijacked buildings. So you find them in major cities. You find them in Buffalo, you find them in Gqeberha, you find them in Tshwane, and all of these places, Johannesburg. And some of them lead to major catastrophes, like you have seen the fire that happened. So inside a derelict building, people were building shacks inside there. Yeah, so that's the tragedy of the situation. So you neglect the CBD, there's migration to something. And then before you know it, it's waterfall. Before you know it, I don't know what's the next place. And then you don't protect those spaces.
Before we know, it will be next to Limpopo, by Bulugwadi.
Sentinel CBD.
Yeah, Sentinel CBD.
And those surrounding suburbs will be Yeovil.
It's already started.
Will be Yeovil and Hillbrow. Yeah. Yeovil used to be a top suburb.
Oh, yes.
Observatory.
100%.
They're shit now.
Yeah. So the reason why we brought you here, Minister of Mdagas,
Oh, yes.
is to talk about load shedding, electricity, man. I think, we've heard so many people talk about this, so many ministers come in and out, promising this, promising that. We don't want to hear any of that. I think I speak for myself and also just the public in general. We just want to know, when is this thing going to end?
Well, I'm not in a position to provide a fixed date, because I think the one thing that informs how I do the work is just to be brutally honest.
Yes.
The scale of the problem is huge, more than what meets the eye. And then you can trace this problem 1997, when the experts were saying that at the rate at which we're connecting new households, just to give you a sense, when in 1994, 23 out of 100 houses were connected to the grid, had electricity.
Yeah.
Today, as I speak to you, is 93 out of 100. So there's a huge surge in connectivity. So they say at the rate at which you are connecting, at the rate at which the population is growing, and by definition, the number of houses. And also at the rate at which the economy is growing. As the economy grows, investments come, factories come, they consume a lot of electricity. They said you're going to run into a problem in 10 years' time. This is 1997. So they said 2007, you are going to have a big problem. But then the powers that be at the time were confronted with the following. First is that at the time, we had abundance of electricity. What are you talking about?
We're good.
The second one
yeah.
is that it was extremely cheap. And in fact, at the time, we're almost like giving it away. Let me give you an example. So you'll you'll say to a smelter somewhere in Mozambique. It's a real example. Say, take this thing almost for free, help me. Because remember how it works this. If you have too much electricity and you are not consuming it, the grid can collapse.
Oh, for real?
We have a different problem. We have a big demand and the supply can't meet it.
Yeah.
And so they were protecting the grid. So you needed someone to take the excess.
to
But
consume
when
it.
you want someone to take the excess, just to give you a sense, households don't consume a lot. I mean, it's industry that consumes. So you need someone at the go. When I have too much electricity, I ask you, MacG, just take this electricity. Smelters are the biggest guzzlers of electricity. So the church says, no, it's fine, I can do it. Maraki Tusawena, so I want it almost for free. Pay something. And then that's how transactions happen. So someone then comes and say, at the time when you have abundance, when electricity is cheap, almost dumping it. They say build more capacity. No, what are you talking about? And guess what? 2006, we get hit with this problem. Suddenly the demand exceeds the supply.
No, we know all of that.
No.
We want to find out where we are now. Where are we?
Yes, to know where you are, you must know where we come. The scale of
you guys have done so many interviews saying the same thing.
Let me tell you why I'm making that point. Okay, I'll bring you closer to the situation.
Yeah.
So now we have the installed capacity, 47,000 megawatts.
Okay.
At any given, at the peak of consumption, we're consuming 34,000 megawatts.
Oh,
so
wow.
in theory, you don't have a problem.
Okay.
But the problem is that of that 47,000 megawatts, a lot of them is out. It's not performing. So essentially, I have 47,000 megawatts. The demand is 34,000 megawatts. I have excess. Yes, load shedding. No, I see. No, there's no load shedding.
Load shedding!
And you didn't deliver. There's no load shedding.
So indeed, you've come with yourself.
When you staged it.
Why is that one on?
You staged it. Yes, it's on. You staged it. MacG, you staged it. You staged it. Today is Thursday, the 28th. It's 25 past 12. There is no load shedding. Oh, you know what? You have not paid for your services. They've disconnected you. Yeah, you see, this is what I was talking about. You are not paying. Hey, man, when last did you pay? Let me see your account.
Okay, I'm the minister of Mdagas. Put it back up. Mdagas, put it back up. Let there be light. Cash.
Go take his job. Go take his job. Man, go take his job.
You can't do this.
Go take his job, man. Go
This
take
thing is
his
a
job.
psychological scar. It's not painful. I'm there, I've ordered food there, and the light goes off. Everyone looks at you. MacG, don't do this. You are abusing me. I get some man. Boss, I'm good. But did you see?
Did you see how confident he was? He's like, as soon as he goes up, he's like, no, let's use that shit.
No, this is not those kids. This one.
No, my friend, MacG, boss, Aksabu, why?
Excuse me, oh, boy.
I think when he used that interview, he ensured there's no load shedding in this area to avoid the embarrassment.
I can't
Like,
breathe.
make sure there's no load shedding in this area. I'm doing an interview.
Boss, how do you do this? You'll be sitting there like at the restaurant and the lights go off and they look at you. It's real.
Yeah.
You can see that the pain it causes. I mean,
Man.
let's assume the lights are really off. You are running a business.
Hey, man.
So then you must stop and then wait for. I mean, it's bad. It's devastating the South African economy. That's why we're doing everything possible.
But on the real, man, I've heard Malula campaign saying electricity will be done with load shedding by the end of 2024. I've seen some articles that say that you said that or suggested. By end of 2024, we're still going to have load shedding, right?
We'll be in a significantly better space. I mean, we are expecting, just to share with you and the viewers, I think we'll add an additional 3,600 megawatts or so onto the grid. And also the assumption is that the installed fleet will continue to perform. If it performs, you are going to find that you are going to have extended periods of days without any load shedding, but not necessarily that you have resolved it, because the economy ought to grow. So once the economy grows, then there's additional pressure onto the grid. That's why we're looking for new generation capacity, so that there's access. We're able to allow the economy to grow, firms to open, people to be into jobs, and in that way, I'll be the first one to go out in public and say, I've resolved this question and show you. Of course, with me, you don't have to believe me. It's just what your lights are on or off. But to your point, we'll be in a much, much better space.
Comrade, man, remember we did a round table talking about load shedding. And some of the guys, I can't remember correctly, please correct me if I'm wrong, man, but some of the guys mentioned some corruption happening, especially with the coal. What was going on there? Can you just give him some context? What happened in that episode? Do you remember, what those guys were saying?
Yeah, in the supply chain, somewhere there's corruption.
Do you remember now?
Coal.
Yeah, please explain. What were they saying now? Neo is our camera guy.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah,
And
he doesn't get load shedding. He's next to a hospital.
Oh,
Yeah, in Tshwane.
It's in Pretoria, yeah.
I think they were basically, saying that the corruption that is happening is because of what, people have been talking about, that the state is trying to, do this deliberately so that Eskom can be privatized. Yeah, that's what they were basically touching on, the corruption.
And there's actually people making money from load shedding as well.
They even said that there's a cartel that...
Cartel, yes. Have you heard any of those things?
Yeah, they've been brought
In Mpumalanga, yeah, the cartels in Mpumalanga, yeah.
In some instances, they refer to it as a coal mafia.
Yes.
And all of that. For reasons that will be obvious. First is that we know about the existence. First. The second one, what are we doing about it, is that there's 10 work streams that are supporting the work that I'm doing. Work stream number 6 is the one that's focusing on crime, corruption, and sabotage. And it's populated by people from state security, SIU, SAPS. There's over 100 investigations that are happening. I think over 50 arrests that have been made, and I think over 20 convictions that have been.
Serious?
Yes.
Wow.
Some of this is in public. You find that it's a network. So for it's an ecosystem. For this to work, you still need people who are embedded inside to collaborate with contractors. That's how it works. And really is to undermine that spine. And in some instances, and there are really candidate power stations that we are prioritizing, where evidence suggests that there could be a concentration of these ill practices. But having said that, MacG, I think it will be disingenuous for me not to make the point that a significant proportion, the overwhelming majority of the people at Eskom, they are committed to resolving this problem. When I was at Kendal now, one of the power stations, I visited all these power stations a minimum of 2 times. And every time I engage with the workers, they tell me, very sorry tales. They just are not proud to wear Eskom regalia. Anything that has got Eskom brand.
Yeah.
Just imagine the situation.
Sure.
You're at the restaurant.
Yeah.
And then in some instances where it gets worse, where they're driving Eskom branded vehicles, they get to be attacked. We had instances, I think 1 or 2 people were killed.
That's terrible.
Yeah. So I'm just saying it's bad. I was just relating my experience when I was at university. I was studying civil engineering. The people who were sponsored by Eskom, we envied them. First is that allocations, monthly allocations were generous. Yeah. They also had what we call the Eskom walk.
Yeah.
End of the month, or one of the charities. That's how and when you are bazaar, you are sponsored by someone not as big as Eskom. And everyone really attached a lot of premium to the badge. But that's not the case now. As a result of load shedding, issues of malfeasance, corruption, some of it that is being uprooted. And of course, I mean, it's psychological, it affects families.
So basically what you're saying is, you as the minister, you know of the corruption.
We know of it.
You are dealing with it.
We are dealing with that, yes.
And it will be resolved in the near future, hopefully.
Oh, well, I don't think that you can get to a stage where we're saying, I've eliminated with a degree of confidence.
Gotcha.
But wherever there are signs of it rearing its ugly head, I think we deal with it. But also is just ensure that the systems are such that they undermine opportunity for corruption. And also just build a culture where people, if they see things not going right, they're the first ones to report. I mean, a lot of these cases where we are getting leads, it's from inside. I mean, so we work together and say, man, MacG, I know he's doing this anonymously. And then we pursue and we're able to establish.
What did you think about the guy before you, the white guy before you?
The Rater.
Yeah, the Rater. What you were saying.
He mentioned of a high-ranking political figure and the corruption. But then he had the name, submitted it to someone who was meant to reveal it.
And he's fled the country or something.
Yeah, he fled the country. And the names are known, but no one is revealing it. Have you seen?
The names are known and they're not being revealed.
Yeah. He said he told.
You mean he knows? Oh, I see.
He reported the names.
Well, I mean, he was given an opportunity by the SIU to say, you can quietly give us the names. Yeah. At the parliamentary scope, they asked, give us the names. If you feel uncomfortable, and they created a channel, just provide these names. But of course, you must also substantiate. I mean, I could be on air and just mention that Sputla is corrupt and it ends there.
Gotcha.
And then you say the obligation is on Sputla to prove that it's not, when in fact it's on me. So I was saying that I think it's important. First is that don't discard them. So don't just dismiss. First attach.
Did you have a discussion with him before you fled?
No.
You never?
Yeah, it was... I think 3-4 months before I came in. So no, I haven't had that discussion. But I'm sure if there's that information, just give it to the relevant law enforcement agents. They'll pursue.
First day at the job there at Eskom, what was it like? Like, what intel did you get?
Oh, well, first to make the point that my responsibility is not about Eskom alone.
Sorry.
Of course, Eskom is a big part of that work.
Yeah.
If you
know what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So it was. Well, my first was not to go to the head office, but to go to the power station where the action is. And I must say that, and I generated the report out of my experience having gone to the 14 power station. The people issues were big, in the following sense. There were power stations that were meant to be closed. I mean, I went to one Camden. I think 1 or 2 units were meant to be closed. I think 2 days from the time that I had visited. So what that tells, and then they knew that 2026, one of the power stations will be closed. So imagine you have worked at this power station all your life, your working life, and you know in 2 years' time you'll be out of a job. So I think the morale was
down.
Deep. Yeah. And then the other one was that we are just painted with the same brush. Everyone says we're stealing. We are incompetent. We just don't know what we are doing because of load shedding. And then the third one was, as a result of Eskom's underperformance, the deteriorating balance sheet, they were not getting the kind of incentives that they are used to. So they had not gotten any improvement on their salaries, as they put it to me, over a period of 3 years. So the morale was very, very low. So there is no incentive, even if you can see the unit is at risk of failing. So what?
And what do you think about people that saying, okay, you guys are trying to fix load shedding because the elections are coming up, trying to pull favor to the public?
Okay, so let's say the following. I mean, if one of the things that is endangering our electoral prospect is load shedding.
Yeah.
And we know, I just shared with you earlier on, the impact that load shedding has on the South African economy.
Of course.
There are a lot of people who are out of jobs. So if our intention is solely just to protect our incumbents, us being in office, would have resolved this long time ago, because it's a huge threat to our electoral prospect. So we wouldn't even have a need to have a minister in the presidency responsible for electricity, because we would not be having load shedding. Load shedding is counterproductive. It countenances our electoral ambitions. That's the point I'm making. It just makes the incumbent government looks incompetent, because people are out of jobs. You just can't keep the lights on. I don't think that could have designed that deliberate. The second one is that the president made the appointment is just over a year. So we've been working on it just to resolve the load shedding problem.
Do you think you have the hardest job in the?
Yes, that was difficult. That was difficult. I mean, you know, the performance of the ministry is very easy to measure.
Yeah.
Whoever is listening or watching us speaking, he will know that the fellow is a failure or they are making progress.
Yeah.
The amount of hours your lights are on or off.
Yeah.
And you can imagine, I mean, you are having a function. I was at a funeral on Saturday in Limpopo. As I was about to speak, load shedding.
Hey,
So you
can
can imagine. So all I'm saying is that it just disrupts life.
Yeah.
Yes, and then you are the public face,
You're the face.
of the
face
problem.
of it.
How often do you communicate to the presidency? Because I'm sure he's on your neck.
Oh yes, I mean it takes direct interest. I think I'm one of the few ministers who are privileged that at any given time, that's the seriousness is attached to this. Makes a call, he will take it, Mr. President. He will call me, Sputla, we're at stage 4. What is the problem?
Yeah.
How best can I assist? I mean, you can imagine, and I must say that the kind of assistance that I'm getting from the president, it gives me the reassurance that the intention is there to resolve this.
And where you at with renewable energy? What's your chat with that?
Of course, we ran it through the bid windows. What we know is that there's an insatiable appetite by private sector to invest in renewable energy. Like I say, the most enduring solution to the load shedding problem is new generation capacity. The Eskom fleet, the power station, can take you this far. You need new generation capacity.
So you're for it?
Yes, you must do both.
Oh, both.
So you see, the problem in the country is to juxtapose the two, like a binary. You do this or that. No, you need both. And that's how then the aggregate is such that the picture looks bright. You need both. I must say, genuinely.
I never understood how we supply electricity to a country like Botswana, but we have load shedding. I've never understood that.
Yes, I remember that. Okay, first is that I think the prosperity of the region is in our collective interest. I mean, there's no economy that functions without electricity. Imagine a situation where they don't have sufficient generation. Essentially, there's no economy to talk of. I'm sure there will be an influx of people coming here looking for those opportunities. That's one. The second one, you remember...
So you're giving them electricity so they don't come here?
No. I'm just saying that I'm just to say that, where they get electricity so that the economy can function.
In their country.
In their country. And then they can be prosperous in that space.
And stay.
And then the region is prosperous. And then we have a market also ourselves. So firms that produce textile and the like, they have a market because there are people who are working and have the buying power.
That's
so
crazy.
Think of it that way. Not to stay there. To have the buying power. No, to have the buying power to access our goods.
Yeah.
You need them. You
That's
need them
true.
to
So
buy
can export
the BMW that is being produced in Silverstone. Yes.
So they have more value than a normal South African?
Yes. Come again? Oh, no. Oh, and then let me go to the second. And then in some instances, except for Lesotho,
okay,
we also provide our contractual obligation in proportion to what we can provide. So essentially when there's stages of load shedding, so if we are contracted to give them this amount, you reduce it by the amount that you can provide at the time. I say with the exception to Lesotho, what Lesotho did very well was to tie the Lesotho Highlands Water Project to the consistency of supply of electricity.
Smart.
Now a little load shed. Otherwise, load shed, I'm sure when I just give an example. So they tied that to that. And then,
really better in the summer.
yeah, but let me give you a context.
yes.
You take Lesotho, Botswana, Swaziland,
Yes.
you put together, the amount of electricity we give to them is lower than what we give to Soweto.
Oh,
So there has to be a context to that. Yeah. So it's not
And
like
we didn't know
it's not
that,
like we're
yeah.
taking 4 stages of
Yes.
No. It's not that. No. So we had to consume 235 mega. That's huge.
Do you have generator and like inverters and all that stuff?
Yeah. So in the estate where I'm staying, I think it's over 1,000 units.
Yeah.
As part of the value proposition by the developer, he says that if you come and buy here, there's no load shedding because there's generators, and then we pay in proportion to what that is. So, what is the point? I'm making a bigger point.
At least you're being honest.
I'm saying I'm not privileged because I'm a minister.
Yeah.
I'm in that position because I chose to buy in this estate.
Yes. It's not
and then I bought before I became.
That's fair.
That's very important.
That's fair.
And then when I go to Cape Town, there's a house that is allocated. I can use there. There I use. I don't have generators. I don't have.
So
solar.
you experience.
I'm experiencing it. Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
that's insane.
Yeah, I think for me in my position also, I think it's important that we have an appreciation of what people are going through.
Yeah.
And that serves as an inspiration for you to continue.
Is this a problem like globally? Because we had Dumi Murake, she's a comedian, and she was saying there's some states in America that have load shedding, but obviously America, they market their country so well that no one ever hears about this stuff.
So let's leave the African continent. China has gone through the same.
Wow,
yes,
China.
Yes, when I went and met with them, what is important was for them to share with us how they resolved.
Yeah.
India had the same problem.
Wow.
Brazil had the same problem.
That's crazy.
When Dalma Rousseff, she was in my position at the time to solve the electricity problem, and later became the first woman president of Brazil, and now she's a chairperson or president of the New Development Bank. Brazil has gone through the same. So the issue is about those learnings.
That's BRICS.
And yes, that's BRICS. We're drawing from those experiences on how best to resolve our challenge. Yeah.
Sure, that's crazy. Penduk, any question you got?
Yeah, I've got 2 questions. What happens like when, we've got high stages of load shedding and then jiggy, it's a Rugby World Cup. Then there's there's electricity now for like a solid month or over a particular long weekend in the middle of high stages of load shedding. And why can't we then just put that in practice every day?
No, I think it's a fair question because I think it's fair in that if you look at, rugby, uninterrupted supply.
Yeah.
AFCON, metric, examinations, and then you can see that the messaging suggests that they are the privileged few. When their sporting codes are in action, then we find solutions.
And it speaks to that it's controlled.
Yes, it's
so that like you're trying to frustrate us to privatize Eskom.
No, that's and I think it's a very fair question. Thanks for that. The point I always make is that we can explain incidents of load shedding. So let me tell you now. I think you have seen their outlook is that for the rest of I'm saying the outlook because part of the problem we have is the unreliability of these machines. So I could be here and then 2 units just go off. And then Eskom makes an announcement as a result of losing 2 units. Sorry, it's no more 0. We are going to stage 2. So that talks to the unreliability of these units. That's one. During this period, the long weekend, the demand is low. And then you find that now, as I speak to you, the supply has gone up. We're at about, I just checked real time, we're at about 28,900 megawatts. I mean, if you had 2-3 weeks ago, we're hovering, averaging about 26,000 megawatts.
No, but I think what
demand is that. No. I'm saying that even during those periods,
yes,
you found that there was that relationship.
And how do we mitigate it, though?
The best way of mitigating it is to ensure that we've got additional generation outside Eskom, so that when these units fail, I know that MacG, Sputla, they're generating on their own.
And we can't do that consistently.
Yeah,
no,
every day.
That's the unreliability of and that's what we're working on. So now as I speak to you, National Treasury gave us 254 billion rand for the financial year. We have pumped a significant amount of that money to fix these machines. You'll see now starting from last week until May, these units are coming back in their numbers. And we are going to see relative stability in relation to the supply side. Of course, we are preparing for the winter where the demand is going to spike. So essentially, we are ready for that winter period to ensure that you have at the West lower stages of load shedding and the optimistic case that we have no load shedding at all. But the problem is not gone.
So it's a matter of, okay, cool, we have these reserves, we will use them for the AFCON, and we wish and hope they work. So you're just relying on
at that time when we're at AFCON, even the reserves are depleted. And then as the reserves are depleted, the only instrument you have is to intensify the stages of load shedding. Remember, load shedding is an instrument available to the system operator, this person who moves the stages of load shedding, to protect the grid, to stop that thing we call blackout, like the entire country. It's a technical thing at 50 hertz. It must oscillate between that. So if it goes below or above, then it collapses the grid. To restart it. So it's not like your car that you can just go to a corner mechanic and start. No, it will take you like 24 to 48 hours to restart everything.
Of darkness, 48 hours
of darkness. Yes, that's a problem that you have.
So is there
that's why you need to protect it at all.
Is there not, I'm not an engineer, I'm just thinking out loud. Is there not a way like we can have blackouts for like 2 weeks and then when we come back, we've got electricity forever?
Oh, no, it doesn't fall.
Oh, okay.
No, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, I get what you're saying.
Because we would take that, so
So it doesn't...
Would lock ourselves, build very high walls around your house, and we'll take it. Yes. Good luck to everybody else. But because it's going to be anarchy. It's going to be like the purge if we're in darkness for 2 weeks. My other question was... at first, when you came into office and you were Minister of Electricity, a lot of people say, but he doesn't have powers. And then the president has signed you some powers. How have you exercised those powers in combating ending load shedding?
Yeah, so there were 2 stages of that allocation of powers. The first one he allocated to me 3 months after was to do the powers to do a determination on new generation. So essentially, he gave me the power to say, you can declare that I want so many megawatts from this fuel source. And that it's what we've been exercising. And then the second one was to allow me, which I got now in November, direct access to Eskom. So I don't necessarily have to go through the Minister of DPE. I have the powers just to engage with the chair of the board. Praveen.
Oh, it's Praveen. The world is outgoing
DPE.
now.
Yes. So that we're able to, so that there's direct access and the machinery is able to move much faster. And then we can see now that from a generation point of view, myself, Dr. Mteto, the chair of the board, the CEO, Dan Marokani, the head of generation, Becky Numal, we are really pulling together. And we are beginning to see, I'm very confident that this stage is not a fluke what you are seeing now. We're going to maintain significantly lower stages of load shedding. Like the point I made earlier on, you'll see that towards the end of the day, it will be a much, much better space.
What was, during Rumour's reign, we didn't have as much load shedding. What was that ministry doing that
Okay, well, at the time, so remember, the units were performing.
Okay.
And then one of the things that is listed was that, of course, then there was a period, the past 3 years or so, after, where there's been very little investment in the maintenance. I mean, the amount of maintenance that we did now in December and January, December of 2023 going to January of 2024, was the highest that was ever done since 2020. And that's why now the units are beginning to come. I told you, like from last week, going into May, these units are coming in their numbers. I think today we're expecting another 2. They are coming. They'll continue to produce. What we have seen is that the ones that were taken out, as we bring them back, they perform better. They are on load most of the time. The efficiency levels are higher. So generation capacity has gone down. It allows us to bring down the stages of load shedding. The biggest test will be now when you go into the winter. And I'm confident that we will perform better than the winter of last year.
You know what's so crazy?
Please.
You know, my kids don't know a life without load shedding.
Yes,
insane.
You know, there was this thing, I relate 2 stories very quickly. We have introduced, we expanded their vocabulary, load shedding. I was on a flight to Cape Town. I usually take the last flight.
Yeah.
So there was this kid, I think, is 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
and he's
yeah.
with youngish parents. Yeah, very talkative, you can imagine,
Yeah.
at that age. So it's late at
Yeah.
night. So as we learn, they have to switch off, almost the cousins.
Yes.
So when they switch off, mommy, is this load shedding? So what's the point I'm making? They've just gotten accustomed. This thing is like it's part of life. When it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
When I was coming back again on that lake, they are the same age, but this one, Paddy speaking my language. The parents were very friendly. Mary is a child. So I guess when we land, this is not at night. When we land, I think they would have told her, no, that's the minister. I don't know what they would have said. Whether minister of load shedding. Then she comes to me. Simply saying, uncle, please don't switch off the lights. I want to see my cartoons. So you can see what it does. It's devastating, my brother. And of course, it gets worse. I was with one doctor. He was telling me that he's a physician and also does operation. So the choice of making an operation is a function of the load shedding. So what that means is that if Sputler, God forbid, you're in an
Once
accident.
a 6-pack.
No, you're in an accident. Because I get that. No, the 6-pack one you can schedule.
Oh, yes.
You're in an accident.
Oh, yes.
And you arrive at theater. And load shedding is like 15 minutes.
Yes.
He wouldn't touch you because once load shedding come and it goes wrong, they might sue him. So I'm exposed. So it gets worse. You see, I'm just sharing with the extent.
That's crazy, man.
Yes, this thing is bad. And that's why I was saying it's in our interest. Leave the elections. Of course, we're interested in it, but you must resolve it. And that's why we are transfixed.
Do you think there's any other party capable of resolving it apart from the ANC?
No, I think there are capable engineers in the country. I think deploy whoever, just as we do, get the right people. Go Eskom. I hear people, experts, those chaps are extremely competent. If you want people who understand these machines, some of them were not given the opportunity to resolve this problem because of policies. Because
politics.
Yes. These chaps will resolve this problem. I'm confident they will resolve. Of course, there will be bad apples, but these chaps, no, you must see the impeccable.
Have you reached out to them?
I'm sitting with them all the time.
Perfect,
And that's why you see, we give them the space. I tell them all the time, what is the support you need from the minister? When they had said, no, but if we get the maintenance, we've got the 254 people. And then I also said, I spoke to the workers. Make sure that you design any performance incentive. They introduced it. They came to me and said, you know what, sometimes it takes long for us to procure spare parts. Can you allow National Treasury to allow us to do it with speed, but it will be transparent, it will be competitive, will be accountable, will show National Treasury how we procured. Remember the example we did earlier on, the big one? Because it was soiled by the procurement issue. So it's cast it in a bad light, when in fact the solution was going to help. So it's important that you don't repeat that mistake. Then we help them. Then you stay back. And I tell them, you are engineers. Do the work. The insults, the vulgar, they'll throw it at me. I'm elected for that. It's painful, I must tell you. It's very difficult.
I can hear, man.
But someone must take it. I mean, when the president assigned me, I knew what was coming. First, I had to get the permission from real government. That's my wife. So say, I'm going to this space. I'll be in the public space. We are going to hear all sorts of things. Says, if when you think you are ready for it, you'll get the support.
How does Lucian affect your wife? And you know your wife,
Oh, no, that one is just my son. So when it goes, they told me. Yeah. No, but it's the support. You need that. It's tough, my brother, but yes, thanks.
No, I wouldn't want your job, man. Ghost lady?
I just want to find out. I want to take you back to like the mayoral responsibilities and duties. So what we see in the inner city is a huge problem of like drug addiction, and it's an issue that's never discussed, or I think it's not getting enough attention. Like you see an influx of young men, like thousands now, 10,000s, and that's the issue. You're on Nyaupe basically. Like when you were still mayor, was there like a program just to combat that issue, or what? If you're still mayor, what would you do?
But drugs are good though.
No, Mac. Now it's even gone to the townships. It's affecting families. It's one of the major issues in the country.
Drugs are bad.
I think it's also a function of lack of opportunities. It's got a direct correlation with the performance of the economy. I'm sure there are many young people could be your neighbor, same street, extended family, who have gone into drugs because of the lack of opportunity. So the first one, I'm not direct. In general, it's an economy that is growing, that's giving people opportunities. But you can go to industrialized countries, successful, affluent, that creates opportunities. We are still sitting with this problem. I think at multiple levels. The other one, not necessarily trying to be philosophical, just to throw it out there, I think is a deterioration of this thing called the family unit. The manner in which we treasure it today are not necessarily the same. I think I'm part of the last generation that really treasured what it meant, that family network to protect everyone. Now it's just individualistic. What you do is not my business. If you know, so that network really has collapsed. And then the third one, I think, is the inability of the state just to assert the law. In many instances, we know here, I think all of us, we know where these drug dens are, right? So it's that house. And it gets to be reported when you sit with them and they say,
we see it every day on TV.
But when that house, when I've any so it's just communicate. Yes. I'm just saying the state asserting itself. Those bad apples have got the capacity to collapse the state and its ability to execute it.
But I don't think drugs are like a location thing. It's more of a human thing.
No, I'm just talking in general. Location is I'm just taking.
I'm saying there's no country in the world that has gotten rid of drugs. It's not
yes. That's why. That's what I just said. In affluent countries, you find it. Yes.
So it's more of like a you thing.
But I think the point she's making is that it's becoming more and more pronounced. Almost every other corner, you find this. The sketch. It's almost like a pandemic.
Because got no jobs. They got nothing else to
exactly
do,
that point that I raised.
Get high.
On. Yes. So just they get the economy going. So I will not create an impression that if I were a mayor today, I was going to island Tshwane. This is an island. Everything can happen outside. No, I guess that we are part of this entire ecosystem. And again, they are attracted by these spaces. So once you have deserted the inner cities, the buildings are abandoned.
Yeah, so you do drugs. You do.
So that's cover. They'll go in there.
Yeah, bro. What drugs are you on, man?
Dr. Sputler, thank you so much for your time, man. We've got to let you go. And we appreciate your honesty. I think you were honest to the best of your ability, which is commendable. But in closing, what do you want to say, man, to South Africa, the chillers, as we wrap it up?
No, the first thing is that we understand, we hear their pain. We can hear their cries. People are going through a very, very difficult period. And load shedding is complicit in that experience. So we're doing everything possible, transfixed on the resolution of this problem. Like I said, we hope that the winter that we'll experience is much better than last year from a load shedding perspective. You are going to see the trend line that we're getting to grips with load shedding. We'll be in a much, much better space by the end of the year, and then we're doing everything possible to onboard new generation capacity. So we are confident about our ability to resolve this. And I just want to say that I know that it's hard, so we are very grateful that I'm sure that people could have expressed their anger in the most aggressive way.
Yeah, definitely.
But they've chosen to be patient, give us an opportunity. We will not abuse their generosity. We'll make sure that we resolve this as speedily as possible. And just to say to you, thank you very much for allowing us.
Thank you, Doctor. We appreciate you, man. I heard you got some good moves there. Do you know how to do the Monday to Sunday?
Tshwane challenge.
Oh, is it?
Tshwane
So,
Tshwane challenge,
let me find it for you while you ask the question.
Last question. So say you fix load shedding, right? And you showcase your leadership skills to the country. Where to politically for you?
Oh, I think the tradition of the ANC really. It's I'm in the NEC. I'm making a contribution. So if they think that I can add value somewhere else, I'll do that. I'm not harboring any Of course, naturally, like any other human being, you'll have ambitions, but there's a way that it gets to be expressed.
What are your personal ambitions?
No,
get the ANC decides,
the most
but what are
immediate
yours?
one is to resolve this.
Once that is done.
This challenge.
Being a president?
I'll come to the studio.
Of course!
I'll come to the studio to share.
Go to the union building.
This is it.
No, but I think if you fix, the electricity issue, then, rightfully so, they must make you president.
President.
Yeah.
I know. Take it out.
You can do it. You just need to see it 10 seconds.
Practice. I want to come back.
Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for Dr. Sputla.
Thank you, man. Thanks.
We're out here, podcast and chill. Boom.
Thanks, my brother. Thanks, man.
Welcome to Black Excellence. Do not fear, for if you do, just sip on some grandeur. And if you still do, ask ourselves, what would Mapapunzi do? Parama chila, itlesha lefiki. Ungoyigi, even if when they ask you, how sabini, do not fear. For if you do, just say, Anistivi. This is the medicine of censorship. This is the pill. Which one is that one? Podcast and chill.